What's going on, everyone? In today's video, we're going to ask ourselves, will Amazon's new fees put us out of business? If you're new to the channel, my name is Joji Davenport. I'm a high school teacher, and I also sell books on Amazon. And really what I'm going to do here is go through my initial impressions of what Amazon's new fee structures are going to look like. I'm a bookseller, so I'm going to be doing this through the lens of a bookseller. But if you sell all those things, you can still probably get some valuable information here. Now, one thing that I really want to make clear is that I'm by no means a fee expert. I'm by no means the smartest person in the world. I'm by no means the best at reading all of, Amazon's by crazy jargon. Sometimes that doesn't make any sense. So what I'm going to do is just kind of give you my first initial thought impressions on it. Could be completely wrong. So let me know down below in the comment section if I got something completely wrong, if I'm thinking about something wrong, or if you actually agree with what I'm saying. So today is December 5th. I got an email from Amazon, as I'm sure a lot of you do. It says update to the US referral and fulfilled by Amazon fees. Basically it starts out by just saying, hey, we did a really great job this year fulfilling products. We fulfilled 1.8 billion products as of July, and those are products that were delivered same or next day. And basically, this whole email is about, them continuing to want to strategically place our products around the United States so that they can get to customers same or next day. Now, unfortunately, it goes on to say that there's going to be new fee structures, there's going to be new fees added, and that we're definitely going to be seeing higher fees for the products that we're selling on Amazon. Now, the first fee that's really interesting is an inbound placement service fee. So essentially, they're estimating an average of 27 cents per unit for standard size products. So that'd be like the book, that'd be for like books here, and $1.58 per unit for larger, bulky size products. I think that's a new category that they just came up with. These are going to take effect March 1st. And what's interesting is they're going to give us the option to pay reduced fees or even no fee at all based upon whether you send your shipment to a single location or multiple locations. So essentially, what I'm seeing here is that Amazon's really trying to incentivize us to send our products to multiple warehouses rather than just one warehouse. So in other words, it seems like they're going to be charging us more money if we want to send our products to a single warehouse. And you can actually, click on this here, which is going to show us the inbound placement service fee page. And essentially what I'm seeing here is that whenever you send a shipment to Amazon, you can basically choose between premium service or discounted service. So if you use the premium service, basically you're going to be sending all of your stuff to one single warehouse, but you're going to be doing so for a fee. And obviously the fees are going to vary by, where it's going. Higher fees, for whatever reason, are going to be whenever you're sending products to the West. So I'm assuming it's just a little bit more expensive to ship to the West, the western part of the country. Now there's also the discounted service option, which is the case where you actually ship to multiple inbound locations. So what's cool about that is that you'd have a reduced fee or no fee at all. So again, Amazon's, I think, really trying to make sure that all of your products and all of our products are distributed easily because, if you think about it from Amazon's perspective, their goal is to make the customer as happy as possible. And the easiest way to make the customer happy is to get them their book or their product on time. And the easiest way for them to promise that they can get it there next day or, same day is if they have this same product all over the United States, so that if someone buys it in California, maybe that book can be shipped from a warehouse that's, just a couple hours away. Versus, like, let's say all of the inventory is on the East Coast and they got shipped to the West Coast, like all of a sudden that becomes very expensive for them to fulfill. So they're just trying to kind of be like a spider web, have everything all over the United States. And my understanding here with this fee here is that you could be paying basically a premium fee if you want to send everything to one warehouse. So you can see for standard size product fees here, essentially they're going to break it down by premium service and discounted service. So the definition basically is that if you do the premium option, you're going to send it all to a single spot. If you do the discounted service, they're going to be sent to multiple locations. And the idea is that if you send them to multiple locations, you can basically get a discount of up to 100% of the total fee based upon the number of shipments and inbound locations. And then based upon the weight and the category, small standard or large standard, which is basically just going to be the size and the weight, you're going to get charged a per item fee, is my understanding. So if you're going to do the premium service, let's say you're sending 30 products to one warehouse, essentially, if all those items were 16 ounces or less and they were under this size, you'd be charged between 20 to 30 cents per item. And if you have, larger items, which doesn't necessarily apply to books, most books are going to be under 3 pounds, you might be charged, 40 to 68 cents if you're sending to a single location. So the general gist here is that, when you're using GoToLister, if that's your listing software, by the way, got a tutorial on the YouTube channel if you want to know how to use GoToLister. Essentially, you're going to want to send your items to multiple warehouses is what I'm seeing because it's going to be a little bit cheaper. If you're someone out there who's doing a lot of thrifting and library sales, definitely these small fees eat into your profit a lot because generally if you're doing thrift stores or library sales, you have a lower average selling price. And so anytime fees increase at all, your average selling price is going going to need a rise in order to negate the fees. So in this case, if you're doing that and you have a low average selling price, you absolutely, in my opinion, probably need to be doing the discounted service, which is sending to multiple locations and not just sending all your stuff to one place. All right, the second update here is actually a reduction in FBA fulfillment fees, which is pretty good. And that's going to be for standard size products and large multi-size products. So they think that we're going to have a decrease of about 20 cents per unit for standard size products, which is pretty good. Again, that's going to be our books. That's going to be things that are on the smaller side. And then down here, it says products priced below $10 will continue to have an additional 77-cent discount on per unit fees. I think that's for the small knife program. Don't quote me on that. I'm not an online, traditional online arbitrage seller. So I think that that's what it's for. But again, you can click the FBA fulfillment fee rates page. And when you're there, you can basically see that they actually did change the size tiers and the fees. So you can see, it's just going to be measured at intervals of 2 ounces for the small standard size, and large standard size is going to be from 1 to 20 pounds measured at intervals of 4 ounces. So here's basically where you can kind of see what qualifies for standard, small standard size. So I'm thinking for books up to 16 ounces. So 16 ounces would be about a pound, right? And if it's, the shorter size is 0.75 inches or less, then, it would fit a small standard size. So for example, if you're a bookseller, like here's an example of a book that weighs under a pound and is under 3/4 of an inch at the small side. So this would be small standard size. But then something like this, which is actually a much larger textbook, is going to be well over a pound. So this would actually fit in the large standard size, which is up to 20 pounds. And also the shorter size, is not under 0.75 inches. So this would definitely fit in the large standard size. Okay, so the reason why the sizes and the weights matter is because whatever size tier you're in is going to determine kind of what the fulfillment fee is. Now, again, the whole point here was that Amazon is trying to reduce it, at least to my understanding, is they're trying to reduce the fulfillment fee a little bit. So what we can see here is that we're actually going to compare the fulfillment fees up until when the changes are going to occur. So essentially, February 5th to April 14th, it looks like this is what the fees are going to be. So essentially, I think this is kind of what fees are right now. And then starting April 15th, this column is going to be what the fees are going to be in the future. So what you'll see is that the difference between the two generally is right around like 15 to 20 cents. So again, it seems to me that they're trying to reduce the FBA fulfillment fees by a little bit, like 20 cents. It's not a major change, especially when we look at some of the other fees that they're going to add on. It's nice that they're going to reduce those fees, but again, there are other fees coming. So let's take a look at that. All right, so the next fee that's going to be added is called a low inventory level fee. And so this is a new fee that's never existed before. Still trying to wrap my head around it. But essentially, the argument that I think Amazon's making is that because they want products distributed across the United States to make fulfillment easier, it's actually very cost inefficient or not very effective for them to hold just quantity one of a whole bunch of units. So you're basically going to get charged a fee if you have, not very many units of a product. That's kind of my understanding. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the low inventory level fee page just to kind of give us a better understanding of what's going on. So effective April 1st, a low inventory level fee will apply for standard size products with consistently low inventory relative to customer demand. When sellers carry low inventory relative to unit sales, it inhibits our ability to distribute products across the network, degrading delivery speed and increasing our shipping costs. So a low inventory level fee will only apply if a product's inventory levels relative to historical demand, known as historical days of supply, is below 28 days. We're only charged a low inventory level fee when both the long-term historical days of supply, that is the last 90 days, and the short-term historical days of supply, that is the last 30 days, are below 28 days. So for example, if a product's short-term historical days of supply is above 28 days, but long-term historical days of supply is below 20 days, the low inventory level fee won't apply. So essentially, what I'm thinking here is that if you're a bookseller like me, you're not going to have sufficient supply to meet this sort of thing that Amazon wants, right? So Amazon basically wants you to have a whole bunch of units so that you can continue to replenish the product when it sells, right? So they can replenish it, so they can continue to ship it out to customers so that they can make sure they have they have enough supply for the next 28 days, essentially, all across the United States. Because I'm a bookseller, I'm only going to have quantity 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 or something. It's definitely, at least from my thought process here, is that, pretty much I'll always get to have 0 to 14 historical days of supply because I'm just not going to have more than 1 unit available. So essentially what this means is, depending on the size tier of the book, we're going to be paying an extra low inventory level fee, which gets assessed after you sell the book. So, most books probably are going to fit in this category, the large standard fee, which is up to 3 pounds. So again, like this book right here, actually is going to fit in the small standard fee. So essentially for a book like this, because I wouldn't have multiple copies of this available, I wouldn't have enough historical days of supply, I'd be charged an additional 89 cents when this book sells. So does that suck? Yeah, it does suck. Is that going to kill us? I mean, it could, depending on what your average selling price is and what your margins are, but I just think of it like an additional 89 cents to sell the book. Now, for the books that go up to 3 pounds, essentially, I think, most books are going to be under 3 pounds and are going to fit in a large standard size there. So I'm thinking basically the biggest change for us online book arbitrage sellers is that just add an additional 97 cents for every order, everything that you sell. You have a book like, for example, if you have a textbook, for example, like this, which is really big, this is going to definitely be over 3 pounds. So it's going to be $1 level, $1.11 to sell this book, an additional fee. So, remember the good news is that they did try to reduce the fulfillment fees on average by about 15 to 20 cents. So, you can maybe take this 97 cents and bring it down 15 to 20 cents. I think the reality of it and the writing on the wall here is that, I think Amazon is moving towards faster selling products, things that they can keep in inventory, things that fly off the shelves. And, I don't think they're necessarily just trying to get rid of booksellers or try to get rid of media sellers. But I think at the end of the day, it's very expensive to ship things across the country. And if they are going to promise fulfillment times of a day or next day, it makes sense that they're going to need to have those products scattered throughout the United States. And if you only have one unit available and it's sitting in a warehouse all the way on the East Coast and someone on the West Coast buys it, that's actually really, really expensive for them to ship from the East Coast to the West Coast and get it there in a day. So it makes sense to me. Now, there's some other fees as well here on this email, and I went ahead and took a brief look at them. I didn't necessarily think that they're going to be super relevant to us booksellers, but all I can say, to answer that question is this going to ruin our business model? Are we going to go out of business with this? I don't think so. I think potentially, depending on how you ship, how you ship your books into Amazon, as long as you're sending them to multiple warehouses like Amazon wants you to, you shouldn't be really getting charged any fees. So if you're really kind of doing what used to be called inventory placement, if you're trying to send everything to one warehouse, then you will get hit with additional fees. And then there's just going to be this, low inventory level fee. So basically, I would just say expect to get charged 97 cents, 70 cents, whatever we just looked at there for every new book that sells. So I think for you, what you have to think about is, what is your average selling price? If your average selling price is $15.50, well, I think what you need to do is adjust your average selling price up by $1 to stay, to basically negate the fees. For some people, that's going to be that's going to be a huge shift. The good news is that people who are selling books that are that cheap are probably merchant fulfilling them anyway. So if you're a merchant fulfilled seller, this doesn't apply to you because this is only for, products that are in the Amazon FBA warehouse. As far as, how does it impact me? Well, right now my margin is already incredible with online book arbitrage. So I'm super, thankful and happy that online book arbitrage exists because, I'm able to make incredible margins on my books. So now I just think of it as an additional $1 fee. Is it going to hurt? Yeah, of course. Now, what are some implications? Is there going to be more competition? Is there going to be less competition? Generally, I think what happens is whenever there's new fees, to announce people in all the Facebook community groups like Amazon is trying to ruin it for FBA seller or media sellers. They're trying to ruin it for everyone. They're trying to put us out of business. So I think there is probably going to be a little bit of an exodus, especially for people who have lower average selling price books. What might be interesting is you might see fewer people selling books FBA. I don't think it's going to be a significant decrease, but maybe see a small percentage decrease in the number of FBA offers. So maybe it actually becomes a little bit easier to sell your book because there's less FBA competition. Maybe more people are going to now start to merchant fulfill their books so they don't have this additional fee. And so maybe that's going to start bringing the price of some books down so that you can pick up some copies cheaper and then flip them Amazon FBA where there's a little less competition. The reality of it is there's probably going to be some changes. I don't think it's going to be massive. For me, it's not really going to make too big of a difference. Sure, I have to pay a little extra money. My margin's going to be a little bit slower. But I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. Maybe you're listening to this and you're like, wow, this guy's super arrogant. He's like, oh, it doesn't affect me. Maybe you guys are like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. I have no idea. I'm just trying to give you my initial thoughts on this. This literally just came out like less than a day ago. So I'm sure you guys will have more information. I'll have more information in the future. And again, if I say anything wrong, which I'm sure I did, let me know in the comments down below. But hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.